Nuristan, the land of natural beauties, cultures, traditions and struggles. Today Afghan Film 2023 channel wants to share with you the ancient history of former Baloristan. Before of conversion to Islam, the Muslims called that Kafiristan, which means in English the land of infidels. But the Kafirs of Nuristan called this land Baloristan at that days of time. And after the conversion the name is changed to Nuristan in 1895 AD, just 128 years before. Please watch the video till the end and subscribe our channel Afghan Film 2023 on YouTube for the more upcoming informative videos. Nuristan is one of the 34 provinces of Afghanistan with an area of 9,942 square kilometers, twice the size of Kabul, and with the population of 134,100. These 10 tribes name: Ada, Thom, Kalasha, Kashto, Eskumu, Bendulio, Gransana, Burmo, Sanum, which are living in Nuristan province of Afghanistan, and speak 6 different languages: Kathavari, Kamavari, Prasuni, Waigali, Trigami, and Ashkoni. Vorian Nuristani means language. Nuristan province has 7 districts, namely Nurgarem, Doab, Mandal, Waigal, Wama, Kondish, and Barjamadal, and the center is Paran, which shares the borders with Badakhshan, Panjshir, Lidman, Kunar, and 140 kilometers the border with the district Chitrala, Pakistan. Kalasha tribes are also the tribe of Baloris people, which are recently called Nuristanis in the Afghanistan, and living in the valley of Bimborit, Bir, and Rambar in the district of Chitrala, Pakistan. Nuristanis were conquered by Amir Abdurrahman Khan in 1895 up to 1896 AD and were obliged to abandon their ancient religious beliefs in favor of Islam. But Kalasha tribe still remains in their old cultural, traditional customs of the Balori tribe in the district Chitrala of Pakistan. In its administrative divisions, several valleys of Pashai people, such as Melil, Mishvi, Bedi, Shama, Junia, Yar, and Nangaraj are also included, which has a very close cultural and historical relations with each other. Nuristan has a total of 75,000 hectares of grassland and 2,051,504 hectares of forest, which is the 1/5 of all the forests of Afghanistan, which are covered with juniper, arches, jalguzay, najo, and cypress trees. Fruitful mountain trees such as pine, almonds, vines, figs, mountain olives, walnuts and others. Nuristan has 3 big rivers: Bashkal, Waigal, Paran and the Ramgal, and dozens of small lakes that have water all year round. There is no corner of Nuristan where clear spring water does not flow around. Nuristan has a mild and clean climate. History: Nuristan people are of pure Aryan race. When the Aryans came to Bhakti from the source of the Damodaria, which called in English the Oxus River, by way of Sogd and Meru 4,000 years before Christ. Due to the cold weather, a large group of them flowed to the south of the Hindu Kush and migrated from there to the east and west branches. A third branch stayed in the region, who are the Alinas or the ancient ancestors of today's Nuristanis, because they lived in very difficult valleys and their contact with other tribes was very limited. They have preserved their race, language, culture and old habits until today. The hypothesis of attributing this tribe to the Quraysh tribe and the descendants of Abu Jahl of Saudi Arabia was more political than the fact that Abdul Rahman Khan fueled this misleading rumors to subjugate and convert them to Islam easily, so that the people would not be hard-pressed to change their religion. The idea of the Greek origin of this tribe or the domination of Greek culture over them was first proposed by Pennell, which is baseless and a clear misunderstanding of history. Because when great Alexander at 323–356 BC wanted to go to Swat and India through Nuristan, he faced strong resistance from Nuristanis in the region of Chagansrai and Darai Pitch. These areas were part of the Bilar's territory at that days of time. And even according to King Amir Abdul Rahman Khan in the book of Taj al-Tawarik, one of Alexander's generals was wounded in the war with Balar tribes, which is called recently Nuristani tribes, and according to another account, the great Alexander himself received a wound on his shoulder during the war. Because great Alexander was thinking of conquering India and had stayed in the foothills of Afghanistan for 4 years, and lost 2/3 of his army and many were wounded, he stopped fighting with the people of Nuristan and tried to gain their trust. In this way, he took between 1,000 up to 2,000 Nuristani warriors and left for India. After returning from India, the Nuristanis entered the region wearing the same combat uniform as the Greeks, and a false impression was created in history that the Nuristanis are the remnants of great Alexander's army. This area used to be known as Bilar or Balaristan, and Muslims called it Kafiristan. In 1895, when Abdul Rahman Khan attacked this land and took it under his control, it was called Nuristan after converting these people to Islam. The area of Balaristan was very wide at first, located between Kashmir, Badakhshan, Gorband and Kabul. The Durand Line of 1893 divided the people of this land into two parts, one part of which, western Balaristan, was assigned to Afghanistan, and the other part, eastern Balaristan, Chitral, Kashmir and Clash area, belonged to British India. In addition, the people of Nuristan were under siege for more than 1,200 years to defend their culture and beliefs against Islam, and they suffered many problems to protect their authentic traditions and culture. After Islam came to Afghanistan, the atmosphere of peace and reconciliation of the Aryan peoples in this place gave way to pessimism and religious fanaticism of Islam and disbelief. For this reason, the area and population of Balaristan was greatly reduced in the bloody conflicts of more than 1,000 years. The Nuristanis were rarely subordinate or related to the powerful central governments of Afghanistan. However, there is evidence that they had posts and positions in Sultan Mahmud's court. Sultan Mahmud of Ghaznavi 998 to 1030 AD was the first Muslim ruler who decided to capture Nuristan, but he could not spread Islam in Kafiristan and recently Nuristan. Amir Timur's 1398 AD is the second sultan or king determined to conquer Nuristan. He attacked that region through Kodul Kavak. At first, the black-clad people of Kader converted to Islam temporarily, but after Timur's returned to Kabul through Kavak, who felt the danger of his journey, they returned to their old religion and did not get a definitive victory. During the time of Babur, Jalaluddin Akbar and Jahangir, Nuristan was not spared from their attacks and part of the people of this land were made Muslim. In his famous book called Baburnama or Tuzak Baburi, Babur mentioned Nuristan in several places. He writes about the geographical location, production and people of Nuristan at that time. The other town in Kabul is Najjar, which is located in the northeast of Kabul in the mountains. The mountains behind it are all infidels. It is located in the corner. Its grapes and fruits there is a lot, and its wine is also very much. But they make boiled water. In winters, they raise a lot of chickens. Its people are drunkards and do not pray, do not understand, and are unbelievers. In its mountains, there are many naja trees, pine trees, oak trees, and konjac trees. Pine trees and oaks are at the bottom and nothing can be seen above Najarav. The lamps of the people of this mountain are all made of pine wood, which burns like candles and is very surprising. The Mughal king Zahiruddin Babur writes about the fruits and wine of this land in his book with the name of Baburnama. On Wednesday, the 10th of Muharram, I rode to Bajawar Fort. A wine assembly was held in the house of Khawaja Kalan. The infidels of Nawa, they brought some kinds of wine. Wine and fruit also come from Afghanistan. Amir Sher Ali Khan took action to occupy Nuristan in 1874 AD, but the details are not available. In his court, in the note of Dr. Razi Shah, the existence of the Nuristanis was mentioned. The British attack is very interesting in the history of Nuristan. Around the time of the Second Afghan-British War 1878 to 1879 AD, Colonel Rudolph Greene, one of the commanders of the British forces stationed in Jalalabad, was ordered to conquer Nuristan. This person used a number of Gujars to use a military trick. According to the pre-planned, Gujars attacked Khandish areas during the attack of the Green Army. The people of Khandish, who were not aware of the behind-the-scenes trick. All the young people went to confront the aggressors. In the moments when the village was empty of defenders, Colonel Rudolph Greene's forces attacked. The women of Khandish village removed themselves and their children from the village and left the village to the British. Greene's forces occupied Khandish village for 2 days. But on the second night, the women warriors of the village, who had many experiences of such attacks, set the village on fire and surrounded the English forces by throwing rocks. They blocked the way of escape for them in those foreign lands, until Colonel Greene and his forces captured the women warriors of Khandish. Became when the people of the village returned from the rejection and repelling the aggression, they found the village in ashes, but their lionesses with miraculous hostages. Colonel Greene and his captured forces were handed over to them in exchange for money at the request of the government of Afghanistan at that time. But the main and decisive attack was carried out by Amir Abdul Rahman Khan through the Marshal Ghulam Haider Khan Charkhi in 1895 AD. After the bloody clashes in the 3 valleys of Nuristan, Kilam village in western Nuristan as the last bastion of resistance. The conquest of Nuristan was completed and about 25,000 captives of Nuristan were transferred to Kabul and divided into several provinces by giving each of them a piece of land in Kabul, Parwan, Kunar and Jalalabad provinces. Some aren't returned back to their original lands, remained in other provinces. Now you can find Nuristanis in the north of Kabul and in Narai district of Kunar provinces. It can be seen today a large number of Nuristani immigrants and those who were displaced from Nuristan in Narai district. 5 villages are belongs to Nuristanis people, namely Shinagar, Machmana, Shalikhat, Pashangar, Shirgal, Nangal, and Barikat. Nuristani who fought bravely were moved to Pakman and a new army of 10,000 people was formed from the Nuristanis, which was named Jadid-ul-Islam by Amir Abdul Rahman Khan at that time. Applying the word new to Nuristanis became common at that time. The despotic Amir ordered 1,000 households of the Safi of Tagab, 1,000 households of Pakman and 1,000 households of Panjshir to move to Nuristan and spend their days on the given lands. After 20 years of exile, Nuristanis were allowed to return to their original lands only during the reign of King Ghazi Aman-ullah Khan. As it can be seen today, a large number of Nuristani immigrants and those who were displaced in Nuristan have returned to their areas. The next process of Islamization of this region was accompanied by problems and bloodshed. Social context. Parallel to the influence of Islam something more than 128 years ago, Nuristan was a semi-peasant and semi-pastoral primitive society in terms of relationships and social structure with communal fighting characteristics. and from the point of view of social formation, it can be placed at the height of slavery. The social structure of the old Norristown society was made up of different castes or sects, which is a relatively complex issue that can be studied more deeply. Norristown society in all its valleys is divided into two important castes, which even today in some localities are evidences. A. Azadagan or estrogen. They were divided into three strata. 1. Oda or clerics. They had the religious leadership of the society, for example the ritual of prayer and sacrifice, and sometimes they also treated people psychologically. They had considerable influence in the society without much effort. 2. Meldi Ergo or nobles. He was a powerful and influential class of the society, who was called Josht. The title of Josht was given in two cases. Whether he was a man of war in the field, he was called Shormuch Bather, which means a man of war who killed several foreign enemies. Or he could organize large parties, he was called Ding Bather, that is, they used to say a rich and wealthy man. The position of Shormuch Bather was higher than Ding Bather. They had special reclining chairs and a special sitting position that no one else had the right to sit on it. In the banquets, their meat quota was also special. Various ranks of Shormuch Bather with signs of spear, belt, falcon feather in the hat, dastar, scepter, golden hen's crown, velvet with red ribbon, tying a red piece in the hand, hanging images of human or animal heads on the steps of the gates and columns. Their homes were known. Bather girls also had the right to sew certain symbols on their clothes. The highest rank in Norristown was Daloda, which means Thogadar or flag bearer. 3. Fiwama or ordinary people of the community. These were those who did not have social honors and were sometimes insulted by others for not taking revenge on their Muslim enemies. In order to avoid sarcasm, they threw themselves into water and fire to preserve their reputation by taking revenge. B. Slaves or Borjan. Generally, the captives were made slaves and sometimes they were sold to others. The village market of Camdish had slave trading centers at that time, where slaves and slaves were bought and sold. The price of a trained slave was equivalent to 12 cows. They were prisoners of war and were considered unclean people, and it was considered a shame to marry them. Their children were also at the disposal of the owners. There were two categories of slaves. Number 1. Bari. They were skilled in blacksmithing, carpentry, goldsmithing, and weaving. The goods were a little more free and were not bought and sold. The slave owners gave them wives and provided their necessities in a small way. This custom remains in its modified form until today. The women of Norristown bear the pressure of housework even today. Farming, collecting wood, taking care of children, cooking, and taking care of house cleaning are their jobs. Even though they had a better life. After the anti-Russian resistance war, their social status has mostly improved. They are not humiliated. They can get daughters from other tribes and their economic situation has improved. Pasha people have completely solved this problem. But in Camdish of Norristown this custom has still remained. The Norristownese excelled in the art of sculpture and painting. Number 2. Shola. They were skilled in sewing leather, barrier weaving, and kalali, and they absolutely belonged to the Lord and were bought and sold. This group of people no longer exists. Beliefs of people before Islam. Prior to Islam, the Norristownese were not pagans, contrary to the rumors, but believed in 3 things. 1. Worshipping an imaginary essence or deity called Yemra. He was the main god and other gods took orders from him. 2. Belief in the ability and intervention of demons in various matters of life and their destiny. 3. Belief in the help of the spirits of brave ancestors. It means worshipping spirits. They also divided the universe into 3 classes. 1. Ordish, or the sky, which they considered the land of their gods. 2. Magish, or the middle world, which was the earth. 3. Uadish, or the underworld, where the souls of their dead resided. They called paradise Bori Libora and hell Bori Daggerbola. Other gods of Nuristan, who were all valid for them in different degrees and sacrificed for them. 1. Yama, which is surrounded by 108 angels called Arthish. 2. Mani or Mani is the prophet of Yamra who destroys evil and corruption. 3. Jace, the lord of war and the most popular god among people. 4. Andra is a type of wine. Day is the lord of goodness, blessings and light. 5. Muddy and Isarnish Dezani, the goddess of protection of women and children. 6. Bags, god of wealth, fertility and water. 7. Yalshor, the lord of evil. Noristanis did not bury or burn their dead but put them in large chests far from the village or in a mountain cave. They would dress their dead in better clothes, put weapons and everything he loved next to him. Women were also buried with their jewelry. This custom is still common in the Kalash of Chitral, but due to the influx of Mujahideen and Afghan immigrants who went to their dead at night, humiliating them and robbing them of their valuables, it was limited little by little. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the ancient history of Nuristan and its eventual conversion to Islam on our YouTube channel Afghan Film 2023. We hope you enjoyed the video and found it insightful. We would love to hear your thoughts and opinions on this topic, so please feel free to share your views in the comments section. Your feedback helps us improve and create content that resonates with our audience. In our next video, we will explore the brave resistance of the Nuristanis warrior commanders, who has played an incredible role in the opening resistance in Nuristan and Kunar provinces against the communist regime and Russian Red forces. That was Commander Abdul Zahir Nuristani, Commander Jamia Talajao, Commander Mohammed Anvar Amin, and Commander Mohammad Ghazi Khan, who started the resistance against the Russian occupation in Kamdish, Nare and Ghaziabad districts in the beginnings of 1980, which called the first resistance of Nuristanis against the communist regime and Russian Red forces in Afghanistan. The commanders didn't allow the communist regime and Russian Red forces to conquer the Nuristanis' territories. Stay tuned as we delve deeper into this fascinating chapter of history and shed light on the incredible resilience and strength of the Nuristani people. Thank you for your continuous support and for being a part of our growing community. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay updated with our latest uploads. Until next time.